Hello, good afternoon and welcome back to the Fish Locker out on the shore. We are enjoying a little bit of winter sun. It is absolutely glorious. Yeah, this is a change. It's been absolutely minging for weeks. The key at this time of year is just finding a little bit of shelter and taking advantage of the weather windows. Just any that you can get. I mean, it's beautiful here where I am. I'm in a little sun trap. I'm really glad I wore like 6 layers on the way down here. Yeah, but the wind's coming straight over the top. It is. Yeah, if we were 300 yards out, it would still be a bit windy, and it's going to change direction later on. Hopefully, we can manage to get a session's fishing in before that happens. Now, I've just managed to get my 2 rods set up. I've got 2 baits in the water. I like to always get a bait fishing before I do anything else, just because if you've not got a bait in the water, you're not going to catch a fish. Well, I'll show you the rigs actually. 1, 2, 3. Whoop. I'll show you the rods, the reels, and the rigs real quick, and then I'll talk you through what my plan is. Now the area that I'm fishing, the locals will recognise it straight away. We're on rock. There's a little bit of rock leading out maybe 20-30 yards and then it's onto clean. So I'm fishing at distance. I'm fishing at maybe 100, 150, 200 yards if I manage to pull off like a beautiful cast. Yeah, that's why I like the wind behind me. It always gives me like an extra 30 yards. I'm fishing onto clean. So the rigs that I'm using are just clean ground rigs. It's a pulley dropper rig. I've got one already set up here. There we go. It is just a rolling lead, and I've got half a bluey on a single 3/0. And there's the fancy bit. Now the rods and reels that I'm using are like fixed spool rods and reels. So on one I've got a Pentidal XR420, and that's with a surf blaster, and this is an Any Fish Anywhere 6 and bait, and that's a spin fisher. Now that is slightly heavy for this. The tidals are perfect for this. I'm not expecting to encounter anything over about 10 or 15 pounds. If I get a double figure fish today, it will be an absolute miracle. So yeah, the Any Fish Anywhere 6 and bait is a little bit heavy for this, but beggars can't be choosers. I've not got a million rods and reels. Yeah. Rods, reels, baits, rigs. I think all there is left is to wish me luck. Yeah, I will show you the baiting up next time. I'm going to work these baits out in cycles. I'm going to give them 15 minutes and then bring them in. If the baits are still fine, I'm going to leave the other one out 20 minutes. If that's still fine when I bring it in, when I cast the next one out, I'll leave it 30 minutes. If they're shredded after 15 minutes, I'm going to have to start changing them every 10. The first few casts, unless you hook a fish, that's just kind of setting the pace for the rest of the session. As soon as I start bringing rigs in, I'll start showing you the baiting up. I do get asked from time to time, they just say, what do you bring with on a fishing session? Like, what tackle do you take? Do you think of everything, or do you just plan for that session? If you'd asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said bring everything. I brought everything for every possible scenario or situation, and I ended up carrying loads more gear than I needed to. Now I try and just think, right, well, take the minimum amount possible. This is my tackle box. Decent pair of scissors, some unhooking tweezers. I have a mixture of hooks. There's a mixture of hooks in here, some odds and sods of swivels, some pre-made rigs, some spare leads, some spare leader, and just some pre-made hook lengths. That's it. I spend 10 or 15 minutes before I'm coming out, and I knock up some hook lengths and some spare rigs and bring them with me. And then a little bit of spare line, some spare hooks and swivels and that, and you can make the hook lengths up as you go. But yeah, I try and limit the amount that I have to carry, because I have to carry a lot. Yeah, the first bait change, completely stripped. So I'm going to have to go down to 10 minutes. It's going to mean there's going to be a lot of crabs. Yeah, it's going to be a busy session this. Some days, yeah, well, I suppose it's just with a little bit of warmer weather, all the crabs have come on the feed. Yeah. So change the baits out every 10 minutes. There's another bait. Yeah. The crabs are on the feed. This is the difference between having enjoyable fishing conditions and having good fishing conditions. The conditions right now are lovely. It's lovely, but I don't reckon it's very good for fishing. The water's pretty clear. We've got a high bright sun. Yeah, it would be better fishing in darkness. So I'm going to be plagued out by crabs probably until the sun sets. I might be able to winkle out a fish before then. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how my bait goes. Right, all I'm using is just these little packets of frozen bluey, just little tiny ones. Just take my scissors and just chopping them both in half. There's a bait. There's a bait. Take the tip of the tail off, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do. That's one of my baits. You get blueys that big. Yeah. I like these ones because they're a nice size. And all I'm going to do is just thread it through, bring it out, lace the hook through the bait. That's it. And then give it a whipping with some bait elastic. I like using bluey because it's full of oil, it's full of scent. Now it is a little bit soft, so giving it a good whipping with some bait elastic will do you some favours. You don't have to worry about the bait elastic putting fish off because they won't even notice it. The main thing when you're making your bait up is that the hook point is proud. The hook point is sticking out. If that isn't sticking out, if a fish gets it in its mouth, it won't hook the fish. There we go. Nice and bound up. Now the way that these rigs work, these pulley dropper rigs, now there is a video on the Fish Locker Workshop channel showing you how to make these, showing you in detail how they work. I'll give you a quick demo now. They clip down like that up the top to make them streamlined for casting, and the bottom you connect it to your lead. Can I do it with one hand? Just. There you go. So it clips down like that for casting. I'm going to show you all in the same frame. There, look. And when this hits the seabed, when this hits the surface or hits the seabed, it disconnects like that. Your rig disconnects from there, and you end up with your bait below the weight. Like that. Perfect for catching fish that live on the bottom. Well, 3 hours have passed. I have used 12 bluey. So I've used 3 packs of bluey, and I've used half a pound of lugworm. Not a single fish bite. Just baits getting absolutely stripped by crabs. So this is one of those situations where, like I would always say, I'll say stick it out. You know, one last cast. At some point in time, you have to realise when you're just throwing good money away, throwing good bait away, throwing good time away. Yeah, 3 hours, and I've been changing the baits every 10-15 minutes. I've used an entire session's worth of bluey, and I've used half of my lugworm. And I haven't even had so much as a proper bite. But it's been nice sat in the sun. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to use my last pack of bluey. Fish these baits out, wrap them up, put them away, and I think what I'll do is I'll go home and get a bite to eat, have a look and see what I've got in the bait freezer. I might go and look at fishing another mark later on in the day. I'm out again to see if I can't find a fish. I've got one rod, so I've come to a different mark. We've got about another 15 to 20 minutes until the sun goes down, and I'm going to fish into darkness. Well, the water's that clear that I reckon the fish is going to be better on the night. What I've got is still the same rods. I've changed rigs though because I'm going to mark with a little bit of rough. There's the odd rock out there, so I'm going to be using pulley rigs instead of pulley dropper rigs. I'll show you real quick. See if I can do it without slipping away. Yeah, it's me 6 bait with a spin fisher and my pen tidal with a surf blaster, and that's yeah, it is a 7000. And yeah, I've already got one bait sent out. I just thought that I would try and show you this one while the sun was still up. It's just a pulley rig with a little bit of mackerel. There we are. I'll get this bait sent out, set the camera up, and then I can maybe show you how I got on baiting that up. Yeah, the wind earlier on, it's coming straight off my back. Here it's coming from the side. But hopefully we can still have a little bit of shelter and catch some fish. Beautiful conditions considering. All I've done is I make my rigs up beforehand and then wrap them up on some of these rig winders. I fish a pennel when I'm fishing a pulley, and we've got a 2/0 and I think a 3/0 circle as a top hook. And all I'm going to do is, I've been using bluey earlier on, but I'm using mackerel now, mainly because I've run out of bluey. Just take one of the little mackerel, take the tail off. These mackerel here are perfect for making 2 baits. All I do is I just cut it a little bit of a diagonal in the middle, make 2 baits out of it. Just keeping an eye on them rods down there as I'm talking. Yeah, the name of the game at this time of year is trying to find a bit of shelter. Glorious earlier on, but it's not going to stay like that for very long. All I do is I lace the J-hook through the bait a couple of times. And then present it down at the bottom. Yeah. And the circle hook, just whip that round the mono a couple of times. 1, 2, 3. And through. Now, mackerel can be quite soft, especially when there's loads of crabs around. There was tons of crabs earlier on. So I am giving these baits a bit of a whipping with some bait elastic, just to try and give them a little bit more form, a little bit more substance. Make them last 10 minutes instead of 5. So just rig it onto here, give it a good lashing. Yeah, I've got 2 baits out and I'll make 2 more baits up. So as soon as I bring those in, I can chuck some straight back out again. Stunning conditions for the time of year, but the fishing can be hard work. And then, bound it on a bit too tight, there you go. There's your bait. Hook points are proud. Bait's lashed up, plenty of scent coming out of that. Just hope we can find a fish with it. This mark, there is a bit of seaweed. That's been pushed in by the wind, and it's pushed it right to this side. I'm running in tight there, so I have got a bit of seaweed on one of them lines. We'll see what we can do with it. It's been a lovely day regardless. We've just had the turn of the tide. Just started moving the other way. I've cycled out the baits once, so they've had all fresh baits out. I didn't much push the changing of the baits through the slack of the tide, just because fish don't move an awful lot through slack tide. Just as the tide started to move the other way, I put all fresh baits out, and they've been out there maybe 5 minutes, and I've started getting a real good bite on one side. A couple of different types of bites you're looking for. A ray bite can sometimes just pull over like that. Other bites can pick up and drop slack line, so the rod, instead of being sat over, can spring back and the line can drop slack. Or other times you see your textbook bite, that's the easiest one to spot, like this. That's a better bite. If it's just quite steady, like the one on the right, it's a wave, but where it's quite erratic, it's a fish. Right. This is a juvenile male bullhuss. It's only a few pound, but it's the first fish. It's got me off the mark, so I'm glad to see it. There's the bait in his mouth. It's not a monster and it's not something I'm going to take home to eat, but I'm glad to see it all nonetheless. Hook's just come straight out. If I had a dogfish, sorry, I'll change this light and see if it's any easier. Right. If I had a dogfish, I could show you the difference between these two side by side. But a bullhuss, do you see these nasal flaps here? A bullhuss has these nasal flaps, a dogfish doesn't. Go on, turn round. Can't be shy. I'm going to put you back in a second. About time. Beat the blank with the dogfish. These are a greater spotted cat shark. Dogfish are lesser spotted cat sharks. So yeah, let's get you slipped back. They're a bonny looking fish, aren't they? Let's get him dropped back. Right, kind of got myself in order. Because things were a little bit slow, I stuck a rod right down here in the corner, just maybe only 20 feet out from the side, because I thought if there's anything running up the side of the if there's anything running up the side of here, like right at my feet, this will pick it up. Anyway, as I was busy watching for a bite over there and I just heard clang, 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 and there's a rod was wanging around. Yeah, it's another huss. Slightly bigger than the one before, I reckon. And there's the bait just in the corner of his mouth. You've got to hold on to these really tight, because they'll writhe around. There you go. Taking on the circle hook, taking on the pennel. They'll writhe around and either rub you with their skin or bite you with them gnashes in there. There you go. I've tried to set myself up so the camera's in a bit of shelter, and I'm on like a slope like that, and I just keep slipping over all the time. Yeah. It's not ideal. But we're starting to see a couple of fish now, so I'm happy. Lads calm down a bit now, haven't they? As the tide's running past, it's bringing quite a lot of weed with it. Everything's just coming in covered in bladder wrack. So rod tips are like nodding away as they pick up weed. And I don't know if you can see, but it's starting to rain. I wouldn't mind so much if we were catching decent fish. Fingers crossed it picks up. Weed and a dogfish. This is actually quite funny. The spike on the lead has picked up a clam. But yeah, little dogfish. See the difference now, can't you, between those bullous and this dogfish? Greedy one though. Oh, I think we've got a bite on that other rod. Maybe. Maybe. Can't tell yet. I can't tell you if it's just a mass of weed. There might be a fish wrapped up in it. When I say that there are masses of weed, this is what I'm talking about. What I might even have to do is I'm going to go down to just one rod and wait for this strongest part of the tide to finish when all this weed's coming past, and then when it calms down a bit I'll put the other rods out. Because this here weighs probably the best part of a stone. I've just had the one rod that I got left out, just had like a pull down with the weed and it just went and the rod nearly went over, and I thought, oh, nice one. And then I just hit a pack of weed and I just thought, oh, for flip's sake. But inside the pack of weed is two clonking great whiting. Now they are really big whiting. That is a really good size whiting. And because it's a pennel hook setup, I've managed to catch two on the same rig. So yeah, one on the top hook, one on the bottom hook. So yeah, I'm over the moon with that. I tell you what, they've got some sharp teeth in. Yeah, two fantastic whiting there. I'm going to take these two home because whiting is fantastic eating, and these are a good size, really good size from the shore actually. Yes. When I started pulling all this weed in, I thought that makes it worthwhile. I don't know if you can see them teeth in there, but they are just like little pins. These will go as fish fingers. I'll do James fish fingers tomorrow. I'll let you in on a little trick. Now I'm struggling because there's that much weed that it keeps popping my leads out. Like it keeps, the weed keeps letting on the line and it's pulling too hard and it's tripping the leads out. So what I've done is I've wrapped an elastic band around the lead. There, look, if you can see. So that they don't trip out as easy, look. And yeah, it worked. So yeah, I'm glad that's worked. See that bite there? Can't miss that, can you? Once again, the lead with the elastic bands on, dogfish. Now it's not a fish that I wanted, but it's still a fish, and it shows that this is working. Now we've only got maybe about another 3/4 of an hour before the tide starts dropping off. It doesn't run at the same speed all the way through the tide. The hour's through the middle of the tide. It takes six and a half hours to go from high tide to low tide. And the hours in the middle of that is when the tide runs its fastest. Get this guy dropped back. I was actually watching a bite on this rod and the top one started going as well. There it is. It's a proper rattler, that one, isn't it? And this one's, again, the lead with the laggy bands on, picked up a little tiny strap eel. I'm glad that we haven't encountered too many of these because these are, sorry. I'm glad we haven't encountered too many of these because these can be a right nuisance. Just give like a little trembling bite and then just when you come in your rig's all snarled up to pieces, and it's one of these that's done it. Just think these things grow to 200 pound. It is a miracle I haven't slipped and broke my neck tonight. Oh, the rain's made these rocks really slippery. I'm just going to show you. The baiting up that I did earlier on with the smaller mackerel, because they were small, I could make them into small baits by cutting them in half. The bigger ones, I've had to take the fillets off. And I'm just... take the fillets off the mackerel and then cut them down into strips, into smaller pieces. And then make them into baits. Trying to slide it off without sticking hook through my thumb. Got it all got it all nice and wrapped up, streamlined. Got hold of it when we get sausage fingers and smushed it all up. Right. There, look. Just like a little mackerel sausage. The main thing though is that the hook points are proud. Usually what I'll do, all the old baits, when I bring them in, if there's any bait left, I'll chuck it in the sea, just so it goes back. I've been dropping them in a pile, and that mouse, well, I'm assuming it's the same mouse. If not, there's a lot of them that look the same. Keep coming back and keep taking all like the little mackerel heads and running off. Tell you what, that little field mouse is going to be massive with the amount of protein he's eating. Yeah, who knew? Field mice like mackerel. Poor. In between rain showers, it's been getting a little bit stale as the night's going on. And I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll put my two last baits out. I've filleted my last mackerel, and I put one of them out on a pennel rig. Boom! Double shot of clonking size whiting again. That is a to catch two of them on a pennel setup. Yeah, that's brilliant. That one there is an absolute chunk. I think we're getting bites as well. Yeah, 2 hooks, that panel set up on the mackerel. I mean, that one there, that's that's a flipping good fish. But yeah, look, that one's taken on the circle on the top, and that one's taken on the J on the bottom. In fact, this is what they're coughing up, look. Coughing up little pilchards. So yeah, look at that bait to that. Yeah, the fish baits is definitely doing it. Fantastic. I am over the moon. Yeah, both of these. We've got 4 cracking whiting now. That'll be a nice little fry, that. Oh. One hook on one end of the bait, one hook on the other end of the bait. What a relief. What a relief. We're just getting like little tiny rasping bites. I've had 2 rigs come in. I've had to completely bin 2 rigs just because of them little tiny conger eels. So yeah, I'm glad I've found them too. See the difference? That one there has got seaweed on it and it's just going slowly, whereas this one's got a fish and it's like a rattle. Yeah. See? No getting away from these guys. Thankfully that bait, I just put that bait out, so I can probably send that one back out now. That bait's still fresh. Cheeky little guy, must have hit him right on his head. Yeah. I will just try and re-whip this bait with some elastic, send it back out. Right, the last 2 baits are soaking. I've tied it all down and I've prepped these whiting. Now, I dispatched and bled them when I first caught them, and all I've done is I've just gutted them and I'm going to fillet them when I get home. But yeah, those are brilliant. Stunning size. You get loads of meat off of them. Yeah, they are a really good size, and they're really good eating whiting. Oh, there's a bite actually. I was just about to say, if I catch anything else in the time it takes me to pack up the last bits, I'll put it in. I think what we've got is, I think we've got a little conger eel on this one here. Yeah, there it is again. Just the tiniest little. Now look. Ah well, I'll see if it develops. As I was saying, if I catch anything else in the time it takes me to pack up, I'll put it in the video. If I don't, then I won't. I hope you've enjoyed joining me. I hope you found it interesting. All the very best. See you later. Beautiful bite. Go on then, let's have it. On the last bait we actually had another fat whiting. That's brilliant. See you later. And there's all your whiting fillets.